Um, Tiffany, let me ask you this. And this is a conversation, and perhaps one that ultimately, based on a person's needs, we would ultimately push them and say, really, you might want to consult with your attorney and legal counsel just to make sure that you're in the exact situation you want to be. But there are a couple different types of tenancy when we take title to a home. And can you tell us just a couple of those types of tenancy?
There are different ways that you can take title to the home.
Okay.
It's a minor detail, but it has huge implications. So the main ones that we see are, you know, husband and wife as joint tenants or as tenants in common.
Okay.
Now, joint tenancy, that's really what's going to protect you in the case that if something were to happen to you or your spouse, one person were to pass away, the surviving spouse would have full rights to the property without having to go through the probate process in the courts.
Okay. So if we're both on the loan, we're automatically both going to be on title, right? So if the loan has my income and my spouse's income, we're automatically both going to be on title, but how we take title would be the question of, are we going to be tenants in common, or are we going to have joint tenancy?
Right. And in most cases, that is correct. If both people are alone, in most cases, they are going to be on title.
Okay.
Depending how you structure that with your loan officer.
Okay. And so what is the difference between tenants in common and joint tenancy?
Right. So tenants in common is the other common way that we see people take their vesting.
Okay.
And tenants in common is when you and your wife, for example, purchase a home, you have 50% interest in that property and she has 50% interest in that property. So if something were to happen to one person or the other, that 50% interest stays with her. It doesn't automatically go to you. You will then have to go through the process to determine who gets that 50% interest of that home. So if she has children or heirs, she's got a will set up, we need to make sure that whoever signs on her behalf if you were to sell this home has that interest to the property.
Okay. And that was joint tenancy?
That's tenants in common.
Tenants in common.
Mm-hmm. It's her interest or her heir's interest.
Okay. And then what is joint tenancy then?
So joint tenancy is when you are taking title to the home. If something were to happen to one person or the other, the surviving spouse would have full rights to the property without having to go through the probate process.
Okay.
So going through probate, you are going to the court to determine who is the personal representative of the estate on behalf of someone who has passed away. So that person who is authorized as that representative can now sign on behalf of that person.
I see. So if I was, say, the breadwinner of the family, and I was the one that was the only person on the loan, and I therefore took title, if I didn't take any steps to put my wife on title, and something happened to me, she would have to go to probate and get the court's permission to sell the house if she needed to.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
And so, and again, this is an area that, you may be best to always consult with, whoever your legal counsel is. But in my case, we opted to put my wife on as a tenant in common so that, as a joint tenant, so that she doesn't have to go through the probate process. We had her added so that on a very bad day where something happens to me, she doesn't necessarily have to get the court involved to be able to do whatever she feels like she needs to do.
Right. And that can be a lengthy process too if you have children that want to fight for their interests in that home.
Okay.
So
Awesome. So it sounds like maybe a good area to maybe get some legal counsel to set
absolutely.
up exactly
To
how
your attorney.
you'd like it set up.